In this lecture, we are going to be talking about skimming for you to understand how to do the system properly. What's happening is that we are basically skimming for the main ideas. Skimming is a strategic and selective reading method or formula where you focus on the main idea of a text. You focus on the thought unit. So when skimming, we will try to avoid any unnecessary details, any unnecessary stories, data that isn't helpful, or any other elaboration or knowledge that is provided that doesn't actually add any value to us. So here are some steps to follow. There are some general rules for skimming. First thing you need to try is reading the first and the last sentences in each and every paragraph. They can usually imply whether or not this paragraph has useful information or not. For example, if you read a certain idea in a book and you understood this idea, and then in the next paragraph, the author wanted to give you an example, and he started the phrase by saying, "For you to understand this idea better, here's an example." Well, you know just by reading the first phrase that it is most probably not necessary for you to read this paragraph, as you already understood the idea. You don't need to read an example to understand it better. Or even the last sentence, maybe at the end of the paragraph where the idea was stated, the author said, and in the next paragraph, we are going to be looking at an example. Well, of course, since you understood the idea as well, you read the last sentence, you know that you can probably avoid the next paragraph. You can track similar systems with headings and subheadings. A lot of books contain within the chapters headings and subheadings talking about different ideas. So if you're reading a productivity book to learn about time management, you can use headings and subheadings to identify those paragraphs that talk about something you're interested in and those that are not actually related to any topic of your interest. In some of the more scientific, educational-based books, there might be tables and charts explaining certain concepts and certain ideas. The chart or the table is usually introduced by a paragraph. Now think about it. What would be easier? Is it easier for us to look at a table, chart, and understand it, or for us to read 2 or 3 pages related to this table or chart? So if there's a table or chart in front of you, you take a look at it and you can easily understand what it talks about. You can understand the idea. You don't really need to read those 2-3 pages explaining tables or charts because you already got the idea out of the table or chart. Some more ideas and techniques you can follow for skimming is all the previously mentioned methods can be used both horizontally and vertically. The skimming can go from one page all the way down and can go from one page to the other. Another thing that can help you with skimming is pre-reading. If you have a certain chapter you want to read and you want to finish it as quickly as possible using the speed reading systems, what you can do is you can pre-read this chapter and mark down the first and last sentences that actually add value, and you can mark the tables or charts that you are going to be using or reading. And you can also mark the different headings and subheadings that constitutes a topic of interest for you. And finally, a lot of authors would emphasize important ideas by using bold, italic, or underlined fonts. Once you see those, you might want to take a look at what's written, because usually when there's something written in a different font, the idea behind it is that the author wants this idea to stand out, which marks its importance and cruciality in some cases.